Hey, Inquiry friends. How's it going? It's great to see you, and it was wonderful to see you at our meeting on Tuesday. I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about our expert project. Now, I know that you got some information about it in the week 2 video, but I wanted to quickly go through this part of the project so that you knew for sure what you should be doing as you get started thinking about your expert. So this sheet that you're going to be working on for this week focuses on generating ideas and activating background knowledge. So if you go down to this highlighted part on the sheet, you'll see that the skills we're addressing this week are generating ideas for research. That's a really big part of inquiry class, is trying to come up with ideas of what we actually want to learn about. Activating background knowledge, because we want to be able to connect with our topics, and it's easier to learn about something if we already have a sort of baseline of knowledge. And also just knowing what we already know about something also helps us learn about it. So we're going to be doing those two things, and then developing interview questions based on that knowledge and those ideas. So that's what we're going to be focusing on this week. So just to quickly go over the instructions for the work that we're going to be doing on the expert project this week. So I'm going to read from the top. The old saying goes that you can't be an expert in your own backyard. We're going to prove that that's not true. Everyone is an expert at something. In fact, we're all experts on lots of things. Especially compared to the general population, everyone has several areas of expertise that spring from their interests, jobs, and life experience. Perhaps not a world-renowned level of expertise, but at least enough to teach someone else about that particular topic. So this project is going to ask you to pick someone who lives in your household, identify that person's area of expertise, interview that person, and create a product to show that you learned about what you learned about your expert and that person's topic. And I really want to encourage you to get creative. So it might be that your 10-year-old niece who lives with you just happens to be an expert on Legos. That's okay. I want this to be something that you can do within your own home. You won't need to go outside of your house to do it. And it'll also help you to spend some quality time with people that you live with. So it doesn't have to be someone that you're related to, just should be someone in your own household. If that ends up being a problem for you, you should just contact me right away and we'll figure something out. All right, so the steps that you're going to take, I'm actually going to go over here to the example. And this example is available to you also on Google Classroom, so you should be able to see that. And if we slide on down here, we will see that I already did my homework for the week. The first step is going to be to identify your expert and topic. So the first thing that you're going to decide is who in your household you want to interview. Because I guarantee you that everybody's an expert at something, even a baby is an expert at kicking his little legs around in the air, but he can't talk yet, so we don't want to interview any babies. No cats or dogs or goldfish, because they don't speak English, but otherwise, someone who speaks the same language as you that lives in your house, that person is up for grabs. So there's only one other person in my house, Dustin Sell. That's my husband. So I'm going to be interviewing him. He was very excited about this project, but he's going to participate anyway because he loves me. At least that's what he says. All right, so I picked him. You're going to write your person's name right there in that blue space, and then you're going to spend at least 10 minutes brainstorming answers to this question. What does this person know a lot about? And I made a list of all the things that my husband knows about. He is a real know-it-all, if you must know. He knows a lot about music. He studied archaeology in college. He has raised 2 daughters. So as far as I'm concerned, he's an expert at that. He actually knows a lot about Akron, Ohio, which is where he grew up. So really, most people are experts in the towns where they grew up or have lived there for a long time. He's an amazing cook. So he knows a lot about grilling and cooking, and he knows a lot about camping. That's something we do a lot of. So those were the topics that I came up with, but I decided I wanted to interview him about mountain biking. That's a topic that I don't know as much about, and it's also something he spends a lot of time doing. So I thought that seemed like a good one. Then you're going to move down to number 2, which is what you think you know. So I want you to set a timer for 15 minutes. That's what I did to myself. I set myself a timer for 15 minutes. And in that entire time, I want you to record what you think you know about the topic you chose about. I think I know these things. I could be wrong. But this is what I think I know about the topic. Don't be embarrassed to record even the most basic information. So if you take a look there, you'll see my knowledge. This is what I come up with in 15 minutes, things that I think I know about mountain biking. Now, this is what we're talking about that activating prior knowledge. This really helped me come up with some good questions instead of the questions being like, what is mountain biking? Well, I actually know what mountain biking is. So why would I ask that? I could say that in my project. I don't need the expert to tell me that. I know what it is. You're on a bike in the woods, right? That's mountain biking. So I put down what I could come up with in 15 minutes that I know about mountain biking. It wasn't a huge list, but I do live with a mountain biker, so I do know a little bit about it. And then question development. So when we get to that point, it's time to take those ideas that we came up with for research, so that expert topic and my knowledge about that expert topic, and turn it into questions. So in order to do that, I jumped back and forth and I reread what I knew, and then I rolled down here and I typed a question. So just to give you an example, the first questions are going to be questions based on what you think you know. And you're going to do 4 of those. So up here, one of the things I know is that there are way more men than women who mountain bike. And I'm very curious about that. So I asked him, why aren't there more women in mountain biking? He knows a lot about it. He reads a lot about it. So he might know the answer to that, or at least he'd have an opinion. So take a look at those and you can see a direct correlation between what I wrote up here. Every single question down here has a correlating bit of knowledge that I already have. Finally, the last part is going to be questions about your expert. So like, I know a lot about my expert because I'm married to him. You live with your expert, so you're going to know about them. But then I included a couple of questions that would help me flesh out who he is to my audience. And I'm eventually going to be presenting this to, and by audience, I mean, I don't mean like live audience. I mean like the audience for my final product. So my 2 questions just sort of aim to give me a little bit more background. How did you first become interested in mountain biking? I know a lot of stories of his from when he's young, but I don't really know how he first started mountain biking. So I'm very curious to hear about that. As far as giving information about my expert, which I am also going to ask you to do in your final product, I know how old he is. I know where he lives. I know his basic life history. But I picked 2 questions that I didn't really know the answer to that I thought I might want to include in my final product. Okay, if you have any questions about any of that, you're going to type that in your own sheet, and then you're going to turn it in, and then you're going to be done with this part of the assignment.